How's it going, everyone? I'm the Redhead Gamer and welcome to my How to Play Fiend guide for last year. In this video I'm going to be covering the basics such as how you should be playing Fiend, the strengths and weaknesses of each of them, and some basic tips to make sure you're not going to get absolutely destroyed in your first game. Understanding some of these tips will also help you play Classmate, as it will give you an understanding of the mechanics of the game and the best way to use them to your advantage. So to learn how to play Fiends, you need to understand how does the Fiend win. The Fiend can either win by wiping out the entire team or by running down the timer. Against most organized Classmate teams, running down the timer is probably going to be your best bet, as Classmates can easily split push objectives, saves, etc., as long as they're paying attention and not getting too greedy. If you realize you're going up against a team which does this effectively, then your best bet is to guard the objective with your life, setting traps around it and essentially fighting on that hill and ensuring that the Classmates do not have the ability to complete it. Once the Classmates retreat from the objective, you may play a bit more aggressively, but always be sure to keep an eye on the objective. Time is on your side, not theirs. So if you run down the timer, you can get a win by default. One common mistake I see from newer Fiends is they will go for an execution on top of an objective. But remember, if you go for an execution, you may get stuck in a long animation, which will allow a Classmate to push the objective. So the number one rule of any Fiend player is to always be wary of the objective and your time. Kills are secondary. I repeat, kills are secondary. Also, traps by default. Fiends can place up to 5 traps, so be sure to place them in useful areas such as around the objective, in choke points such as a narrow hallway, or in front of ambush spots where, if playing as a Fiend with the ability to do so, you can maneuver Classmates into them. Anyway, let's jump into the Fiends. So, overall, for this section, protect the objective with your life, get kills to slow down the Classmates, and be sure to place traps in very defensible spots or areas that you want to defend. Now, on to the Fiends. The Giant is, as his name probably gives away, a very tanky, hard-hitting Fiend whose basic attacks have a knockback. His utility ability is his Charge, which he can use to close the gap between him and other Classmates, and use to instantly break a Technician's barricades. His primary ability is his Grab, which he can use to pick up a Classmate and throw them. Now, as you can imagine, as such an ability is powerful in maps such as Bell Tower, where the Classmates may find themselves in a high place where falling can be lethal, you can also use it to position a Classmate in the traps, into your ambush spot, or simply in a corner where you can proceed to lay the smackdown on them. His Grab is also very useful around corners. Simply wait for a Classmate to come close, spawn in, and grab them, then proceed to throw them where you believe you can kill them the best. For spells, if going against a very skilled team, the Wall is meta. The spell will grant you a defensive bonus while all the Classmates are alive. So if you are certain you're going against a pro team, you can simply defend the objective and buy as much time as you possibly can. However, if you're playing against a casual team, or perhaps a team that is not as skilled, feel free to experiment. Respite for health gain on kills to retain your tankiness, Encore to play more aggressive with your shield, or even Trickster giving you more traps to throw people into or to hold a point defensively. The Spider is a glass cannon. Lots of damage, but not a lot of health. Their ambush spots are also probably the most hidden in the game, as they have no real visual cues unlike the others. The Spider, like Strangler, is very good at offense, however they are swarmed, they are easily killed. The Spider also has a weakness to fire, which means if you get hit with a Molotov or a flamethrower, you're going to be hating life as you watch your health melt in seconds. The Spider's utility ability is their web, which they can use to pull themselves to a Classmate. This will also slow the Classmates down for a second or two upon it hitting. Their primary ability is their acid, which they can spray on Classmates or an area, inflicting damage over time, as the Classmate is affected by it. The Spider In a defensive playstyle, is good at placing down traps in a choke point, such as a narrow hallway or near the objective, and then using their acid as a ranged weapon on the classmates or areas that they are trying to get through. This will buy you some time and keep the classmates on their toes. However, watch out, as your acid will destroy your own traps. You can use it to destroy turrets that are in hard-to-reach places. Aggressively, the spider can run in and attack with their melee attack. The spider has the quickest melee attacks in the game, but they only do about 15 damage per hit. This is why I recommend Deep Wounds on Spider, as their quick attacks in succession followed up with the bleed damage can easily turn Spider into one of the scariest fiends in the game. If the classmates decide to swarm you, simply spray your acid all around you. If the classmates decide to continue their attack upon you, they will have to sit in the acid to do so. Or they will back up, allowing you to retreat, or press the attack on one of the weakened classmates. Recommended spells, obviously, Deep Wounds, or Fight Fire with Fire, to turn their biggest weakness into increased damage. But don't forget to die on top of the objective or in a choke point, by the way, if you must die, as it will slow down and damage the classmates a little bit. Ripperoni. I am the Axeman. I apologize for the bad joke. Anyway, the Slasher is a good balance between aggressive gameplay and defense. He's tankier than the Spider and the Strangler, and he's faster than Giant. The Slasher has a dash utility ability which you can use to close the gap between him and a classmate quickly, or to gain more ground if he jumps off an edge. His primary ability is his Cleave, which is an AoE attack in front of him, in the shape of a cone, which does massive damage to those it hits. The Slasher is great because of his ability to get up close, deal good damage, and hopefully finish off a classmate. When played defensively, the best way to play him is to spawn near the objective, attack, and then when a classmate gets low and attempts to retreat, use your dash to close the gap and secure a kill. Also, don't forget to place down traps beforehand in order to control where the classmates can go, and also to retreat back to them if they attempt to swarm you. The best time to use your Cleave is usually when the team is playing aggressively. Lots of organized teams will swarm you in an attempt to deal as much damage as possible, especially after a successful blind. Be mindful of this and use your ability accordingly. Spell-wise, I recommend Last Stand, which will grant you 15 seconds of immunity once your health gets low, Deep Wounds, which grants bleed damage on a classmate every third attack that lands, or Pocket Ace, which will give you an extra use of your utility ability, allowing you to dash twice. Very useful for catching classmates. Respite and Encore are also good choices. He also has a resistance to fire, which is nice for not being obliterated by flamethrowers or molotovs, but be careful as the items still do a lot of damage. You can also use this to your advantage in order to defend the objective.
Oh, can I just start today over?
Let's do Strangler first, because you know that's what all the boosted mammals do, and everybody's like, Strangler is such a risky start. I love Strangler with all of my heart, but against more experienced teams in top tier play, he's just bad. The Strangler excels at positioning people for kills. I'd say even more so than the Giant because his chain is ranged. However, when swarmed, he is easily killed, so be mindful of how you play him against more experienced teams. The Strangler's utility ability is Smoke Bomb, and honestly, it's just bad. It throws down a smoke bomb with a very small area of effect that slows down classmates a little bit and prevents them from interacting for a very negligible amount of time. His primary ability is his chain, which he can use to pull people towards himself. Once pulled in, he will hold on to them for a short amount of time and then push them off. During that time, you can position yourself to throw them off edges, into traps, saw blades, etc. The Strangler's playstyle is very simple: place down traps, drag people into them, and then attack. A way I like to play him as well is to simply place down traps, spawn near a classmate, attack them with my melee, then as they attempt to run, use my chain to catch them. If a classmate is below 25 health, the Strangler can execute them if he drags them into him with his chain, simply by pressing M1. Strangler allows for a varied playstyle, and you can really pull off some cool kills with him. For example, place down a trap in front of an ambush spot, pull a classmate into it, then run around the corner and vanish, allowing you to enter the ambush spot while the classmate is trapped and killing them instantly. Strangler is currently weak at the moment due to his aggressive playstyle not fitting in well with the meta. He sucks at defense. His low health compared to Giant and Slasher makes him an easy target for long-range pokes via turret, molotovs, shotguns, or simply being swarmed with melee attacks. But if played aggressively very well at the beginning, or when the team is confused or weakened with only 3 or 2 people alive, he really shines. Just remember though, keep an eye on the objective and don't get too greedy with your kills. Killing as Fiend is a means to an end, it buys time. You might not always be able to wipe out an enemy team, especially if they are more experienced, but you can run down their timer. Spells I recommend for Strangler are Trickster for more traps to place down, making it harder for the enemy to get away from you, or for classmates to come save their friend when you pull them in, Deep Wounds for more damage when you pull someone into you, and Last Stand if you just hate being bullied.
Hey, you know what?
GG guys, GG. And as you just saw there in that clip right there, be sure to predict when a scout is going to blind you. You can usually trick a scout out by moving towards them and then quickly turning around in order for them to waste their blind, making it so you're not blind, able to attack the classmates at your leisure. Anyway, so overall, be wary of your objectives, play defensively, then attack when the time is right, and run down the timer. Wipe the team if you can, but that is optional. Anyway everybody, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the nightmare. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch at The Redhead Gamer. I'll see you all in the nightmare. Peace.
You, my friends. I love this meme.